Good morning. My name is Michael Falcone, and today I'll be talking to you about some of the discriminatory practices at Facebook. This organization is not new to scandals. Since Facebook was created 17 years ago, it's gotten a lot of negative attention. This organization has been in the spotlight time and time again for scandals, starting with accusations of Mark Zuckerberg stealing the idea of Facebook from his colleagues, to influencing major events, to data leaks and breaches of privacy, to discriminatory practices in the workplace and in hiring and promotion practices. It is safe to say that people are advocating for diversity and inclusion more today than ever before. While this is a positive thing, it also means that this organization needs to keep up with society's expectations. Otherwise, it will be facing lawsuits and more harmful attention. In this presentation, I am going to be speaking to you about the core values and beliefs of this organization, what has been going on at this organization as far as issues of discrimination, a rundown of the diagnosis plan, some interventions we can implement to bring about positive change, and then we're going to tie it all together and wrap up at the end. If you visit Facebook's diversity page online, you'll see that they present a lot of great values and beliefs. The organization preaches inclusivity, support for all different communities, a call for progression, and the ability to provide a platform to help bring the world together. That is their mission statement. Facebook has some hypocritical standings. Even though the Facebook website highlights its diversity and inclusion initiatives, it does not always act in alignment with what it says online. Recently, there was an issue involving a few people of color who were not hired by Facebook due to discriminatory hiring practices by hiring managers at Facebook. The hiring manager rejected them for not being a good cultural fit, even though they were also told there's no doubt they'd be able to do the job well, right before the cultural fit line. We have 3 major steps in our diagnosis plan. Here's the few steps that we can take to better understand what is really going on so that we can begin to take steps to fix it. We can do our research and keep up with the news. We can survey employees, and we can interview employees. We can conduct our research on the issue by educating ourselves on a few different things. What really are discriminatory practices? Understanding implicit biases that we are susceptible to. What is going on in our organization as far as discriminatory practices. The consequences of discrimination in the workplace, and the legal implications of discrimination in the workplace. The next step in diagnosing the issue at hand is to collect data. One avenue of data collection is collecting data through surveying. There are 86 different Facebook office locations across the United States of America. 10 of them will be sampled at random to participate in our study. Some items you could find on these surveys that we would be administering would include basic personal demographic information, questions regarding employee perceptions of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Employees will be asked to respond to each of these items using a 7-point Likert scale. Another way that we would be able to collect data is through interviewing Facebook employees and applicants to the organization. Some points of discussion that we can include would be their experience in the application process for those who were and were not hired by the organization, what it's like to work for the company, people's perceptions on Facebook's culture, and how comfortable or how safe they feel at work. Once our data has been collected, we can begin to take steps to actuate change in the organization. Some avenues for intervention include policy, active learning techniques, new selection goals through affirmative action, and educating people. One way that we can take action is through assessing the policies we have in place around diversity, equity, and inclusion. If this is going to be a priority for our company, we need to evaluate existing policy, implement revised policy if necessary, reinforce policy through practice, and be proactive about other steps we can take and improvements we can make. Another way that we can take action is through active learning techniques, specifically through guided discussions. One of the biggest advantages to this type of discussion is that it puts everybody, regardless of their position in the organization, on the same playing field. There is no quote-unquote discussion leader. These discussions will give employees the opportunity to share their opinions, feelings, and ideas with each other, learn from each other, interact with people that they wouldn't normally interact with, and provide a space for employees to suggest changes they would like to see take place in the organization at all different levels. Taking affirmative action is another great way to achieve diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. One course of affirmative action is through hiring and promoting employees from underrepresented groups, setting new selection and promotion goals. Another course of affirmative action is changing employee attitudes, because research shows that employees whose values align with the organization's values have more positive job attitudes. Lastly, we must educate hiring managers in the organization on the types of implicit biases that can influence their hiring and promoting decisions. Implicit biases are more likely to occur in time pressure situations. Hiring managers are usually operating and interviewing under time-pressured situations because they're usually very busy, thus making them more susceptible to stereotyping underrepresented groups. It is also important to keep in mind that implicit biases can occur in post-hiring decisions as well. So, for example, if a person of color starts out at a lower wage or salary, there is less of a chance of the wage or salary being corrected at some point in the future than if it was a white person. Through research, data collection, and intervention, a diverse and inclusive work culture is achievable. Maintaining a diverse and inclusive organizational culture would be advantageous to the company and increase the legal defensibility of the company as well. Understanding concepts like organizational culture, diversity, equity, and inclusion, implicit biases, and employee attitudes are essential so that interventions can be implemented to bring about positive change. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.